guys, this is an example of how to create a final product for this project. So I'm going to take you through Don't Look Up, how it was created. Check out the final product assignment for the project specifics, but for this one, layer masks, adjustment layers, use of the brush tool, these are kind of big ones for this final product. What I suggest is if you can't come up with an idea, just find a pretty cool picture. So here's the picture that I found that I just felt I could put some type behind the tree, maybe work with it. And then I found this image. I thought maybe I could combine this into with the tree. These are known as the visual assets of this project that I'm making here. And then I recommend having a few textures that may be your go-to textures. For this one, I'm going to try out this vintage paper texture here, and it wound up working very well. So drag and drop your primary image into Photoshop here, and let's do this. Now, first thing I did was I actually, this is Photoshop 2026. So you want to make sure your canvas is the correct size, image canvas size, and inches. And I want it to be 19 width actually by 13 height. Okay. And then I'm going to Command T, hold my Alt or Option button to get this fully within view. And I'm going to go ahead and use Photoshop's newest generative upscale. And you might see the resolution of the image change here. So generative upscale, the layer I have selected, I'm just going to do 2 times the amount. And I'm going to choose Firefly Upscaler and then Upscale. Give Photoshop a second here. Okay, there we go. So let's zoom in here. So this is the after, and this is the before. So think of maybe if we look at the person, yeah, you can kind of see it upscaled and created a better resolution of our image here. So I can delete this bottom one. I'm gonna go ahead and delete that layer mask. And there we go. I got a higher resolution of my image. Pretty cool thing in Adobe 2026. All right. So my text is going to be don't and then look up very large. So I need to get the text behind this tree. Now, most of the time we would just type out the text and then mask it behind the tree. But if we can get a good selection of this tree and then copy and paste it on its own layer, that's going to save us some masking. So let's see what happens here with select subject. See if it registers the tree. It's finding the subject in the image. Okay, excellent. Now we got a little bit more. We got the people too. So I'm just going to get my lasso tool. Now, you know what? I actually want the people on their own layer as well. So I'm going to Command C to copy, Command V to paste. There we go. We got those guys. But I want her on her own layer as well as him. So I'm going to grab my lasso real quick. Lasso him. And then Command X to cut him off. And then Command V to paste him. Move him back here into his own part. Go back to my cutout of the woman. Lasso her as well. And then Command X, cut her out. Command V, paste her back in place. And excellent. Okay, so I got doubles of them. So this is what I'm going to need to do here. I'm going to move her so she's right in front of her there. I'll move him right into place as well. And let's see now on our first image. Let's see how the remove tool, if it will do a good job of removing these individuals. So I'm just going to paint over them here. Excellent. Do the same to her. Okay. Turn on my tree. Now I got her, and I can move her around to a different part in my image as well as him. Now, I want him to be yellow and her to be red. I'm going to go ahead and name these layers. Double click, tree, double click there, girl, double click here, guy. Now, I'm just going to do a color overlay on this guy from the layer effects. To access the layer effects for any layer, I'm going to come over here to this empty spot, not on the word guy and not on the layer thumbnail itself, but over here in this gray highlighted area. Just double click and then come to color overlay. I'm going to keep that red for her, so I'm just going to copy that number there. But for him, I want him to be yellow. Okay, okay. Go to the girl, same thing, double click, color overlay, and then I'm going to paste that number I copied right there for red. And all right, and okay there. All right, so I have a section between the main image and my tree that I can create a new layer. All right, well, actually I'm going to use my type tool. And you're going to want to go to Schoology, check out your project specifics, and for this project, download within this project folder one of the typefaces available for use. I'm using 403 Neutron. All right, so don't and look up. I want that to be red. Click here. Same color as her. Okay. Need to enlarge it. I'm going to go to my move tool. Command T for free transform. And as you can see, right, it's already behind the tree. I don't have to go through an arduous process of trying to mask it. I'm going to hold my shift button and kind of extend this up and out a little bit. And hit enter. Go back to my girl. Kind of want to move her to the side a little bit. So because we were able to get a really good selection of this tree and copy it on its own layer, that enabled me to put a new layer or a type layer in between these two. And so this tree is in front of the lookup. So rather than having to have it like this and then go to look up and create a layer mask and zoom in, lower the opacity of my type here, and to start hiding parts of my type and creating a layer mask. I'll do that here with this part of the K. All right, so there'd be one area. I'd want it the opposite actually. So come through here and try to hide this part of the K behind the tree by getting a good selection here of this part of the tree. Right, so rather than having to try and do this so that lookup looks like it's behind it, sometimes it's easier if you have the option, such as we did, to just copy and paste the main thing on its own new layer. Okay, so I'm going to position don't look up here. We're still going to use a layer mask on it. I'm going to zoom in, Command plus. I'm going to create a layer mask, right? Because this is it's supposed to be resting on the ground, right? So there should be like maybe little bump areas that it should be, the ground is in front of it. So I'm going to lower the size of my brush, right click, make sure it's a soft brush. Let's maybe bring the opacity up, see how that does. And just carefully kind of erase parts of this so it looks like little bumps of the ground showing in front of our text here. It'll look better when we zoom out, kind of see what I'm going for. All right, let's zoom out here. All right, yeah, it looks like some areas, there we go, of the ground. It's kind of resting on in between, so to speak. You can spend some time with that to make it look, you know, a little bit more realistic, but I think that's pretty good for right there. All right, you know, let's go ahead and bring in our second visual asset, which is this eclipse-like picture here. So where I want it, I'm going to want it at the top. I'm going to drag and drop it there. I'm going to turn it, hold my shift button so that it turns at these hard angles there, and then make it large. And let's see what blend mode will look best. There's a lot of black, so I'm probably going to want, definitely don't want to darken. That's going to knock out all the white, right? Lighten's going to knock out all the black. So I'm going to want some kind of, I think overlay is going to work the best here. Let's see. I'll just scroll through. Yeah, well, that looked kind of cool. But let's go with an overlay blend mode. I'm going to kind of position it a little bit better where I might want it here. Like so. And then I'm going to create a layer mask on it. Get my brush, make it a larger brush here. Fully 0% hardness. I think I'll lower the flow here to about 1%. And I'm just going to, with black, kind of paint out areas where I don't want the effect of the picture to be affecting. Let's see, maybe I want to make it a little larger. That's pretty good. All right. So here in my mask, I'm definitely erasing down here. I don't really want it affecting down here. Same thing up in these mountains. Maybe increase my flow a little bit. Switch back to white. I do want it a little bit more right there. All right. Okay, looking good. Next part is to add some shadow on look up. So I'm going to go back to my type, create a new layer, and I'm going to create a clipping mask. Clip this layer into my type, name it shadows. Zoom in a little bit. And I got black here to about, let's do maybe 2%. And try and create 1%, as though this tree is casting some shadows on our type here. Now I'm just clicking lightly and kind of dragging to create these shadows. Just click and drag. If your low's down enough, it gives you a lot more control. It's going to be darker, right, as it's closer to the tree. So maybe paint a little bit more in there. Zoom out. Lower my opacity to give me a little bit more control. Okay. And then I can always lower the opacity of that layer itself if it's just a little too strong. And then the next thing, I'm going to create a new layer again. This will be more shadows. But this time, I'm just going to kind of paint on the ground where these letters themselves might be casting a little bit of shadow underneath where they're resting. All right. And then a few final steps. Let's get my texture here. Texture typically is going to go at the very top of all things, unless there's a specific spot you only want it to be applying. I'm going to hold my shift button and then hold my Alt or Option button to enlarge it across everything. Now this is a lighter texture, so maybe a darken mode is going to look best here. Looks like darken. Soft light's not too bad, but darken definitely looks the best. If you look there in the guy at the yellow and in the text, you can see a lot of that texture showing through. All right, a few more steps here. I want to have don't. So I need that. I also want it to be between the tree. So I'll just go ahead and create it above this shadow because it's still behind this tree. And I'll type out don't in black. Position it. I'm going to create a yellow square behind it. Just right like that. Fill, yellow. And then I'll hold my shift button to select these two layers, link them together, so that when I move one, the other moves. Uh-oh. Oh, I linked it with the shadows. Let's unlink it. I need to link it with don't. There we go. Okay. And just very carefully place it. I'm going to use my arrows, down arrow to nudge it down a little. And then the right arrow, I'm going to hold it to nudge it just a little bit out of the way there. So don't look up. And then we're not done yet. Going to create a composite JPEG image of all of these active layers. And I need to be at the very topmost layer that is on that I want to be a part of the composite in order to do this. So I'm here all the way at the top. I'm going to hold Shift, my Option key or Alt, Command, and then press E. And here it is. You see I made an entire image, a single image of all of my active layers. And then I'm going to turn it, right click on it, convert to Smart Object, and we're going to do a few more edits in Camera Raw. So you're getting some exposure here to Camera Raw. For now, you can go through here and kind of take a look at everything. The main ones to start with is the light section. Sometimes an image you create is just too dark, which I think mine is. So we're going to increase the exposure. This to the right is going to brighten it. To the left will make things darker. Typically a good idea to increase contrast. Maybe I'll increase the highlights, increase some of the whites, make it brighter. And then I would come down to effects. I'm going to increase my textures a little bit. You can see those show through more. Clarity will help bring visual clarity to it. As you see, I go to the left, kind of gets hazy and dull. The clarity of it goes away. I think I'll go back to 0 and instead maybe increase my dehaze a little bit. All right, let's press OK. So there is the after. Here's the before, a little bit dark. Okay. So there is Don't Look Up.